So my views on mentoring an athlete, um, I believe are very, very simple. You, especially when working with children or young adults, is to always keep it fun. You want to always be able to help them see the joy in the sport, because one of the things that I've seen happen throughout my entire life is young athletes who had a lot of potential to be exceptional at their sports and not have and have their mentors and the people around them that were older take the joy out of it. And we all get into sports and flourish with it, with them, because in the beginning we tend to have that love and passion for it. And a good mentor will always just nurture that passion. They'll also be there in the worst of times when you get beat and you're mentally stuck, to help them through and show them that on the other side, there's always something to gain and grow from it. So the key thing, especially with kids and young athletes, is you have to keep it fun for them. Yeah. I'll tell you, is I experienced this as an athlete when I was a kid. This exact same thing that you said is that fear of letting them down. And I think that sports is a really good thing, even when you're developing an athlete to be at national and elite levels, is to really emphasize that the failures that you experience when you're young is what actually helps make you stronger. And losing is a good thing in building character and helping you develop better work ethic. And it's good for all of us to lose every now and then. And I think that really helps take the pressure off that kids feel of letting down their coaches and their parents. And you see this with all sports, but we have to step back and look at everyone learns at a different pace, at a different rate, in a different way. The same thing happens with the development of our bodies. And one kid might start walking at 10 months, where another one might be 13 months old before they start to walk. So we all develop skills at a different rate. And so when you're looking at a group of, let's say, 10 athletes, exactly what you just described, it takes a good coach to be able to identify that all these kids will not learn the same way. They all have their individual needs. So when I was a junior Olympic diver, and I trained with, my coach was the Beijing men's Olympic diving coach. And what's really interesting in American sports and diving, for example, we all learned to rotate and spin differently. My technique was different as the next person, as the next person, as the next person. And we all could execute the same dive brilliantly with the same scores, but we all had a different technique to get to that end. And it takes a very special person to teach and nurture individual athletes to get their technique, to work on their skills, on their different skill sets, to when one athlete is down here with coordination and the other one's down here with power and the other one here has different balance issues, to be able to teach them all in different ways to bring them all at the same level. And I think that's sadly missed in sports here. that everyone has a cookie cutter and says you need to do A, B, C, D, and this is the way it is. And it doesn't work that way when you're developing athletes with their natural abilities. So it takes a little eye-opening, and it takes, from a coach's point of view, to be really open to adjusting to the child, to the young athlete, and nurturing them individually and to their specific needs. You know, I'll tell you, there's a very big difference between an athlete being lazy and they just aren't into the workout and they don't want to do it, to where an athlete knows their body and knows where their limit is. And it takes a partnership. A coach and an athlete is developing a partnership. And that's when you find that a coach knows where that limit is, because you're synced together and you work together. It's not just me telling you what to do because I'm the coach and I tell you this is what we need to do. It's teaching an athlete to listen to their bodies and being able to, as a coach and an athlete, articulate exactly what's going on with their body. So one of the things I caught on to very quickly when I moved here and I was coaching running, it would be, I can't, or that's too hard, or I hurt. And using the word I hurt is one of those things. I'm like, well, do you feel sharp shooting pain? They're like, no. I'm like, well, then I'll tell you, you're not hurt. Like, you feel discomfort. And the minute you start to feel sharp shooting pain, tell me. But until then, I want you to push a little out of your comfort zone. And I learned very quickly that people are not comfortable with being uncomfortable. So as a coach myself, one of the big things that I'll say to people is, when you get to that point where you think you can't, I want you to do 1 to 2 more reps. Run 5 to 10 more seconds. Do just a little more, not too much, because you're stronger and you're more mentally capable than what you think you are. And I was very fortunate as a young athlete that when I was 14, my coach was having me meditate, and we were doing guided visualization work. And that really, really helps a lot, substantially, with helping build confidence and pushing yourself as an athlete. So there's lots of moving parts to an answer like that. The biggest thing is getting a coach and an athlete to work as a partnership and know where those limits are together. You know, this is more of one of those questions where it's the coach and the parents who honestly have to learn to listen. They have to open their eyes and accept that we aren't all made to be exceptional at one sport or the other. That a child should have that. They might not be a great golfer, but they might be a really good fast runner. And from my experience, starting off in sports and letting my athletic abilities develop, I am so grateful for how my parents handled it. And they were like, you can try whatever sport you want. However, if you commit to it, you have to complete a season. You can't quit. You can't just quit. But If you want to stick to it, we'll fully support and push you and let you develop and get you the best coaches. But, and I'll tell you, this is the funny thing, is that I was terrible at cross country. I wanted to quit so badly in that first season. I hated it. But my parents were like, no, you committed. This is what you wanted to do and try. You do the season. And I think that right there is that good balance. And I turned around and found a sport that I was much better at. But it was my coach. They pushed me. My parents kept me to it, but there was that level of commitment. But I had that way to go, okay, it's not for me. This isn't what I need to be doing. I'm better at something else. And I think coaches and parents need to allow kids the ability to explore those things and try different sports and find what's right for them. I mean, to me, I feel like that's the only answer, because if you force a child into sticking to a sport because I have a dream of you being a pro athlete, or I believe that you need to stick with me because I want to coach you, it's very selfish, and you're missing the joy of a sport. And why would you ever want to take the joy of sports away from a kid?